Well, it's winter, and with the winter hopefully come the blackfish. So I thought I would take this opportunity to show you how to set up a blackfish float. Now you will need to get yourself some stoppers. These are the first thing that goes on your line, and they're there to stop the float from going up and down the line. You can set that stopper to any depth that you want. Putting it on is pretty simple. You feed your main line through the loop, then grab the stopper and just pull until the stopper is now on the line. You can now slide that to any depth that you want. Just to stop that stopper from getting clogged in the top of the float, I put a little plastic bead. Next goes the float. That's harder than you think when you get to my age. So the last thing now before the swivel goes your main sinker. Now that sinker I put on first and it was too light. When I put in the bucket to check the depth and how it was going to float, it only pulled the float down to about there. So I cut the sinker off and I went up a size, and boy did that make a difference. Oh no. Sorry folks, I've caught a cat. Get! Oh, a slight diversion, but let's not digress. So, stopper, bead, float, main sinker, swivel. So all I've done to tie this on is double the main line over. This is called a braid knot. Just do a loop and feed that end, if I can see the bloody thing, back through that, and then open that up, open up, and just slip that over the swivel and pull it all tight. And that's what they call a braid knot. So with that sinker on there, when I put it in my bucket to test, the float sunk to about there. So what I did, out of my little box of split shots, I went up to that size split shot, and with that little split shot, it's now sinking to there, just where I want it to be. So with this stopper, I can now slide it up and down the line to vary the depth at which the float will stop. So if I'm fishing in 8 foot of water, I might let that go 4 foot. And remember, I'm attaching a monofilament leader. I use fluorocarbon with a bloody small hook, which I'll tie on now. If I could see the bloody thing. They call it vanish. Well, I don't know what it's like with a fish, but it certainly vanishes before my eyes. There we go. Six turns. Back through that loop, then back through the main loop, a little bit of spit, and there you go, there's my Blackfish rig. Ready to go in tomorrow morning. So I went for a drive the other day looking for some weed, and I stumbled upon this. I suppose we're 50 metres, 80 metres from a marsh. Look at that. I don't need a lot for burley and for bait, so I'll leave that for another day or someone else. That's a good little haul. So you've seen the rig, you've seen me get this bait. That I'll also use a fair amount of this as burley, but there's a knack to putting it on your hook. So I start by carefully pulling a bit out and just twist it a couple of times, because what I'm going to do is lay it under my line and cross it over on one side, and then cross it over the other bit from the other side. And then carefully, all I do is wind one side down in one direction, grab the other side and wind down in the opposite direction, and then sort of tuck it all in nice and neat around the hook. And I usually tear that bottom bit off. Now if you wanted to, you could always put a half hitch over the top and that will hold it in place. So that's how you attach stringy weed or hair weed.